Trevor Daniels, how much do you take into account inventory management when designing a beer recipe? Do you try and make an effort to use full bags? Yeah, man, that's a good question. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, a lot of times, most of my career, I've been in a pub scenario. I've done distro brewing as well. We're doing that at Sonder. I did distro at Crankers, at Cartridge, at some other places that I worked. But the nice thing is on the pub side, you can have a little flex. If you got a batch of IPA on, and you're a half point high or low, you can just change the board, change your tags. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. Typically what I do is, Trevor, is I would look at like what my main brands are. You're gonna have 4 beers that are the super majority of what you pour in your place. And so I would always keep those. I try to keep those ingredients on hand, and then I'll use that stuff across the board. So, for instance, I use a lot of, I try to pick a base malt that I can use on everything, with the exception of like the really fancy lagers that I want to have, like a little bit more continental character. And so, you will spend up for that a little bit. But you said at the end of the question, do you try and make an effort to use full bags? Absolutely. I don't want, I don't want that. I'm not sure what size thing you have, what size brew house. But if you're at a 15 barrel brew house, it's pretty easy, especially maybe some roast malt. You might have some roast malt floating around, because it's hard to use full sacks for that. But when it comes to that, I always like to do that. New drinking game, and drink whenever Emma says super majority. Do I say that? I didn't even know that was one that I didn't even know that was one that I said. Jay. But yeah, full bags. Yeah. I mean, especially base malts, Munichs, character malt, stuff like that. The ones I will split is I don't like to round up with roast malt, with crystal malt. I will keep partial bags of those, but everything else, I just take whatever it gives me by the full bag, really. So yeah. Thank you for the question, Trevor.